In Surah to Yusuf, there's a story about the king of Egypt, about the ruler of Egypt, the Pharaoh. Let me give you an example about the way the Quran reveals something remarkable. We used to pass it whenever we read the Quran. However, we just do not realize what's in it. The story is in Surah to Yusuf. If this story is read by Al-Ummah, the Al-Ummah, they have lots of knowledge, right? Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them tawfiq. When they read the Quran, they stop often. Unlike us, we read the Quran so smoothly, right? Smooth like the highway. We find no problem. The Al-Ummah, they stop often and ponder at the ayat. Why? In Surah Yusuf, there's a story about the king of Egypt, about the ruler of Egypt. Now, what do we call the ruler of Egypt? The Pharaoh, Pharaon. We all know that, but have you ever stopped and wondered why? Why in the story about the Prophet of Allah, Yusuf, which was also taking place in Egypt, the ruler was not called Pharaon. He was called Al-Malik instead. Malik means king. This fact has already been studied. However, in the Bible nowadays, in the story of Yusuf, the ruler of Egypt is called Pharaon. Now, which one is correct? This is the proof that Quran is the truth. Amazing. There's no single change in the Quran. The question has caused the Al-Ummah to stop reciting. Why Malik? Why the ruler was called a king? It turns out that there is a difference between Pharaoh and Malik. Even though both were the rulers of Egypt, the word that Quran has chosen is more appropriate because it shows that the ruler of Egypt in Prophet Yusuf's time was not a pharaoh, it was a king. It shows us that Allah wanted to explain there was a phase in Egypt when it was ruled by Pharaoh, and there was a phase when the ruler was not Pharaoh. What's the difference between Pharaoh and Malik? It turns out that there was a phase, an era called Hyksos, during which the rulers were the kings from outside of Egypt. They were not the Copts, not Egyptians. They were not from Egypt, but they ruled Egypt. And the Prophet Yusuf lived around that era. Allah wanted to show us this with only one word, this long explanation. This is the Quran. This is the way the Quran reveals something.